Welcome to Across the Pond, a podcast for leaders in market research to help them grow their insight agencies. With Steve Henke and Paul Griffiths.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Across the Pond, a new podcast on how to grow your insights agency. I'm one of your two hosts, Steve Henke.
Hi, and I'm Paul Griffiths from Client Advocates.
This is our first episode of our new podcast, and we are sincerely excited to be doing this and bringing it to the marketplace. Paul and I have been friends for a number of years, frenemies, I guess you'd say, Paul, right? Since we both sort of compete.
That's being nice.
Fair enough. But we've become friends, and we think a lot alike about how this industry we think can grow through smart sales and marketing. And so that's what we're going to talk about on this podcast.
Brilliant. No, and Steve, thank you for agreeing to submit yourself to this, and I'm looking forward to this being the first of hopefully a kind of a series of podcasts over the next days, weeks, months, years, however long we feel that we can put up with each other and anybody else will put up with us.
That's really the key here, I think, Paul. So Paul and I did a little bit of prep work for this and talked about what do we want to talk about in our first episode. And I think we came up with the idea of, it's September's here. The year is 2/3 over. What can we do in the last 4 months of the year to wrap it up well and prepare for an even better 2025?
Yep. And I think, from the conversations I've just been having since I got back from break, that's kind of what's on people's minds. With the agency owners, leaders of agencies, it's kind of right. We've got 4 months left to do. What should we be doing, Paul, from a commercial, sales, marketing, strategy perspective to make sure we absolutely nail the last third of the year?
Yeah. So I think one of the things, Paul, is interesting is if you're having a really bad year, and I hope you're not, but if you are, you're probably not going to make up for it in the next 4 months. I think that would be unrealistic. But I think what we can do in the last 4 months is maybe develop some new habits, maybe plan more effectively for 2025. And I think that's the opportunity we have in front of us, not to stop doing sales and marketing in the next 4 months. But in addition to that, are there a couple of things we can do to lay the groundwork for next year?
Yeah. And I think that's right. I mean, touch wood, most of my clients seem to be having an okay year. It's not great, but it's not awful.
Great.
But
Agreed.
I think what you and I both know is that you've got to play a long game for this. You can't just switch it on and switch it off. And I'm sure one of the themes that will come out over our continuing podcasts is actually you can't do the stop-start stuff. It's got to be a continual process. So absolutely. If you're having a middling year, we can hopefully give you some stuff that will kind of help you kind of top out the year and get to where you need to get to. If you are, not so fortunate and you're having a bit of a troubling year, and at least the stuff we're doing now will set you up so that come 2025, you're not sitting there going, Holy Mother of God, what am I doing?
It's funny you use the word consistency. I think that's actually the first thing on my list is in the next 4 months, whatever you're doing, be frequent and consistent. I think if those are your two watchwords in whatever it is you're doing from a sales and marketing perspective, frequency and consistency are, to me, the two words that allow you to have some level of success. Because to Paul's point, I think if you kind of start and stop, even if it's working, that's how you end up in that feast or famine cycle. And that is just a miserable place to be. So that would sort of be my tip. Number one is frequent and consistent in whatever it is that you're doing for the rest of the year.
Yeah. And I couldn't agree more. And I think the trick is to, even if you are, it comes back to your point about 2025, but even if you spend the next 3 or 4 months gearing up and getting that consistency and getting that persistence of marketing activity and sales activity up and running, one, that will start to deliver some results, before the end of the year. But secondly, it will stand you in a really good position when it comes to January 25 and going, right, okay, how am I going to nail next year? How am I going to do this? And the fact that you will have that momentum behind you means you're not having to crank the handle really, really hard in January which means you're not actually going to get the benefits through to April or May. And I say this to clients all the time, you've got to kind of take a 6 month kind of view on this stuff, both in terms of how long it takes to get momentum going, but also in terms of the outcomes and the returns on this stuff. It doesn't just happen overnight. I mean, sometimes it does. Sometimes you just hit the sweet spot and you just go boom, and you reach out to someone and they go, actually, you know what? I've got a brief and it's your shape. And you go, yes, thank you, gods of marketing and sales. But it doesn't really happen that way. And especially when you are reconnecting with people who maybe you've not spoken to for a while, or people, or new business, or business where you're just starting to build that trust and rapport. Yeah. You've got to play a long game on this.
And that's both a sales and a marketing strategy, right? Yeah. And marketing, it just takes a while to get to that top of mind awareness place before anything's going to happen. And to your point on the sales side, it's amazing to me how many business owners have said to their salesperson, well, you haven't sold anything in the first month, so I'm going to fire you. Yeah. And I'm not kidding. I've heard that more times than you can imagine. So it's a long game, and you've got to build. They've got to get to know you and like you and trust you.
Yeah.
And so that takes a while. And I don't know if you've seen the statistic, Paul, and it's been floating around now for a while. And I completely buy into it, which is at any given time, only about 5% of the marketplace is in a position to make any purchases, which means if you're talking to the other 95%, it's going to be a while before something happens.
Yeah, no. I think it's Gartner who came out with that number, and it is widely quoted. And I'd buy into that. I can see it in terms of my own business, but I can see it with all the market research agencies that I work with over God knows how many years. You have to be in the right place at the right time, but you can't do that by chance. You do that by having these long-term, consistent engagements where you're talking to people, looking to add value, sending them content, reminding them you're out there, checking in and seeing how things are. And it's all of that stuff that means when a brief does appear, they go, I should send that to so-and-so.
Right.
It's absolutely that. So, but in terms of the next 4 months, I think, if you said to me, what are the 3 things? The first one is reach out to your old lapsed I hate the word lapsed clients, but reach out to people you've not worked with or communicated to recently, and be unashamed about it. Go, look, I'm reaching out to you. I've not been great at keeping in contact, but here's something that I saw and I thought that might be interesting for you. Or, you know what, I'm running a webinar here, so would you like to come up to it? Or I've just seen this amazing podcast by these chaps, Steve and Paul, and I thought you'd find it helpful.
Right there. That's the takeaway for everybody right there. Number 1, write it down.
But do something, but reach out to those existing people that perhaps you've not been quite as diligent about communicating with, because you never know. One, they already kind of know you, so some of that trust building hopefully is not so required. But secondly, it's I'm here, I do exist. I am fessing up to the fact that I probably haven't been as good at this as I should be, and most people will respond to that actually pretty positively, in my experience.
I would add one thing to that, Paul. I think absolutely put that at the top of your list. Reach out to sales prospects you might have worked with in the past, companies that you submitted a proposal to and didn't win, because to your point, you've reached some level of trust with them to the point that they're willing to entertain a proposal from you. So check back in with them as well.
Yeah. So number 1, check in with lapsed or clients you haven't spoken to and sales prospects where you perhaps didn't nail something, but at least you showed a good effort, and they said, well, you know what, we should have a conversation at some point in the future. So that's number 1. What's your second, Steve? What's your second thought?
Again, it's a little bit more about preparing for next year. But one of the things that market research agencies aren't particularly good at is doing market research on themselves. And so I'm going to suggest in the final quarter of the year that you do a little homework and not customer satisfaction stuff, although I am a fan of that.
Yeah.
More high level. And in what it does, it provides a foundation of information to help you make good marketing and sales decisions moving into next year. Okay. And two things that I would strongly encourage you to do. One is to do a SWOT analysis. As old school as that is, it is really a really effective tool. And I would do this with it. I wouldn't just have the folks sitting around the executive table do it. I would make sure that there are some mid-level folks who are client-facing. They're talking to the marketplace every day, and let them complete it as well. Then gather all that information as one of the piles of data that you would have to help make some decisions for next year. The other thing I would do is to reach out to my clients and ask them some high-level questions. Questions like, when you think of our firm, what's the first word that comes to mind? Okay. Right. What do we do, if anything, that is unique in the marketplace? Wait a minute. I had one more. Hold on. Why did you hire us the first time?
Yeah. Okay.
Not because you had a product need or a project need, but when you were choosing from amongst what I'm sure were dozens of potential vendors, why'd you pick us? Okay. I think those questions can help you better understand the perception of your firm in the marketplace, which can provide a pretty nice piece of information as you start thinking about next year. The other thing I would do, and you mentioned this earlier, Paul, is reaching out to former clients to try and rekindle a relationship. I'd ask some of them those questions as well. And then I would also add, and why'd you leave us? And who'd you leave us for? Okay. I mean, they might not answer, but some of them will. They've got no axe to grind at this point. So let find out, why did they leave you? If it was work, okay, that's one thing. But maybe there were some other things going on that you aren't, frankly, that you aren't aware of, that might help you again as you start thinking about how do we improve our firm moving into next year.
Okay. So number 2. Reach out to people and actually start to get an objective sense of what you're doing well, where you could improve, what their perception of you. I mean, of course, the added bonus to that is not only will you hopefully get some useful information and data to help you plan for next year, or help kind of nail some stuff for this year, but actually the very act of reaching out to these people and asking the question is in itself a sales tool. It's another way of engaging and communicating and reminding, hi, we're here and we're interested in doing better or doing a great job. And that in itself can provoke opportunities, because the client might go, oh yeah, actually we haven't used you for a while and you've asked me those questions and actually I don't remember why we've stopped using you. So, here's something. So it's another opportunity to reach out and to have a conversation and to engage. So that's the second one. The third piece, which I really wanted to kind of to mention about, was starting to get your LinkedIn game up. So I'm a self-confessed. I've drunk the Kool-Aid. I think LinkedIn's brilliant. I use it for my business development and my engagement. A lot of my clients use it for theirs, and it is highly effective. And again, it's something you can do reasonably low cost. It's reasonably low risk. You can start to do it, and you can start to build that momentum up. That if you start doing it now in September, by the time you get to Christmas, you will have really, really good traction, and that will continue into 25. So that was my third one for
I like it. I like it. I think the only thing I would add to that, and I guess I've read enough articles on using LinkedIn and social selling and all that thing, is it is all about posting and engagement and all that stuff that you mentioned, but it starts with a really good profile.
Yes.
And just make sure your profile is up to date and clean, and you've got a nice headshot and an image behind your header and just some of the basics. Yeah. If you've got a photograph of you from the beach with a drink in your hand, probably not the best use of LinkedIn, but they're out there. I think that's a great one. I think that's absolutely right. And that's one of those, as you get back to being that sort of consistent with some sort of level of marketing activity, that's the easiest one. Yeah. Absolutely the easiest one.
Yeah. And so things like you can reuse content. So if you've got content you've used in the past,
Yep.
Just rehash it, rewrite it, give it a bit of a tweak, give it a bit of a polish, get it up out there. And anything you can start to do. The algorithm at the moment is very responsive to comments. So even if you're not posting your own stuff, go in and find some clients or some people that you want to engage with and comment on their stuff. More than 15 words is really a comment. So don't just do, yeah, thanks, Steve. But something that's a bit more, that's a really great point. I think this, da-da-da-da-da. Even that will start to get your traction up in terms of if you are posting, getting you more coverage on your own posts. But also it will just remind people you're out there and, oh, such and such has commented nicely on my post a few times. You know what? I've got a brief somewhere. Maybe I should send in to them.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's a good one, and one that isn't just for the fourth quarter of the year, right? That we need to be smart on that all year round.
Yeah.
I went a little more high level again in Q4, so my apologies. But I think it's, if you are serious about your sales and marketing and looking ahead to 2025, spend a little time scratching out a sales and marketing plan. Think strategically and tactically about what you want to achieve next year and how you're going to get there. Now, the homework we were just talking about, the SWOT analysis, and that can help form some of the foundation for what you want to do next year. If all of a sudden you didn't know this, but you're recognized in the marketplace as an expert in CPG, well, maybe that changes what you want to do next year in terms of your messaging, those kind of things. Yeah. But think strategically about what you want to do. Who do you sell to? What you want to sell? How are you going to build awareness? How are you going to generate sales leads? Think about what you want to do, and then figure out how you're going to do those things. That's the foundation. The think, plan, do. Kind of think about what you want to do, put it in writing, and then go do it.
And just as a build on that, put some budget against it as well. Because guess what? This stuff, a lot of it, you have to invest either in terms of cash or time. And and even if you're not actually spending spondoolies on stuff, then make sure you're building the time into your budget to be able to do this stuff. Because you and I both know, Steve, is that sitting there, doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome, nothing actually happens. You've got to build in either some time or some budget to do it. So I would absolutely endorse your planning and having a bit of a strategy and a bit of think about what you're going to do, but actually kind of budget that and put that into your commercial plan.
Yeah, agree.
So I'm very mindful of the time. We said we'd kind of keep this to 20 minutes, and we're nearly at 20 minutes.
Well, in that case, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. And
we were meant to give 3. We've given 4, so because that's the way we add value.
That's right. We're the bonus babies.
We don't keep to brief. We just say what we think. So the 4 tips for what you can do between now and the end of the year. First of all, was go and do the LinkedIn stuff.
Yep.
We had do the plan.
Yep.
Do the marketing plan. We had reach out to existing and lapsed clients and people you've sold to or tried to sell to in the past. And the 4th one was
do your homework.
Do the market research.
Yep.
Perfect. You know what? I think that's plenty of homework for people.
Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you found some value in, I'm sure you found value in what Paul had to say. I'm not so sure you found any with me, but it was a great first episode. Thank you all very much. We hope you'll join us down the road for more Across the Pond episodes coming soon to your favorite podcast viewing site.
Absolutely. And as in the meantime, I know I'm speaking for both of us, but if anybody's got any questions or thoughts, or you want to pick our brains, come and find us on LinkedIn or email or wherever else and ask us questions. We are always more than happy to get in touch and have a chat. Yeah. But thanks, Steve. I will see you for the next one.
Thanks, buddy. Take care.
Cheers, dude. Take care.
Thanks for watching and listening to Across the Pond. Get in touch with Paul at clientadvocates.co.uk and Steve at harpethmarketing.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.